Welcome to Abuse Exposed, a podcast about the secret of abuse. Each episode, we deliver intriguing Christian and personal experiences on abuse and how to overcome it. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental or medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Now, here's your host, live from Texas, ISpeakMotivate.
Hello. This is ISpeakMotivate, and I am so excited to be with you guys for episode 20. We thank you so much for the 596 downloads that have occurred so far. We started with this podcast on March the 3rd, so it means so much for you guys to be supporting the abuse survivor community, because we need to break down the stereotypes of abuse so that we can move forward when it comes down to prevention. Prevention is key. Prevention is key. If we educate ourselves now, future generations will not be affected by abuse, because you know what? We're going to create that education of healthy boundaries, loving themselves, that having that self-confidence, leaving from toxic environments, not allowing people to go past boundaries, and letting them know what red flags are. So the more that we educate ourselves, we assist our children, our nephews and nieces, our foster children, whoever it is. Now, episode 20 is going to be a mini-sode today. Give you something quick to think about and some homework to do. Even though almost all the kids in America are off school for the coronavirus, we're going to have some homework for you guys as well. And that is to document your journey, which is the title of episode 20 today. Document your journey. Now, the usual method is going to be journaling, and that is what we spoke about in a previous episode. However, that's not the only way. It could be photography. It could be audio. It could be through your passions of painting. It could be through video. And you could just speak about, every day you could go in front and say, oh, this is how I was feeling today after 20 days after no contact. This is how I felt 40 days after no contact. And you don't have to force it. You don't have to do it every day. But just when you feel it, just to document your journey, you can. The reason why it's so important to document your journey is because it encourages you. And unless you know how far you came, because a lot of time we beat ourselves up that we're not at a certain level because we're comparing our journey to someone else's. We see some other person that's inspirational to us have been through abuse, and we're like, oh, we should be at this point already. But remember, your circumstances are unique and your story is unique. So it's cool to document where you are right now in any form that you can, so that in some point of your life, you can go back and be like, you know what? This is a hard day, but look how hard day one was. I actually, recovered from quite a few things. I grew, I progressed in a lot of things. And that's the reason why documentation is key. It is key. That's why sometimes I do have the episodes about my therapy and how I'm doing there, the questions that I'm asking and where I am, in therapy just so, I can document. And, that is your historical memorabilia that you can go back to see, oh, this is where I came. And you could do all types of creating a timeline of documenting your journey. It could be a mixture of audio and video or photography or journaling or painting or whatever that's unique to you, you can use to document. You can use to document. It's healing in a lot of situations, and it also assists you in when you have those guilty thoughts about going back to your abuser. You go back to see how horrible you felt after you left the relationship, because sometimes we do get nightmares and night terrors that make us feel guilty about leaving the abuser and going no contact. But just reflecting on your journey, see how far you came, your accomplishments and everything like that, you're able to be like, you know what? I don't want to feel like that anymore. I'm done. I'm done with that. I grew so much. I'm not all the way there yet, but I just know that part of my life is over, and I don't want to go through that part of my life again. I just don't want to. So it's really helpful the documentation helps us to keep ourselves accountable and to reflect on how far we came, because again, coming from an abusive environment, you feel as if you're horrible anyway, and we're really hard on ourselves, having that negative self-talk, which is why we had that encouraging yourself episode yesterday. If you haven't reviewed it, you can listen to it after this episode here, but it's so important for us. And so journaling is definitely something that can encourage us, because it can show us how far we have came. You are beautiful. You are loved, and you are beautifully and wonderfully made from God, from Jesus Christ. And you deserve to have the best, to finally find your identity. And that's another thing too. You can track different times in which you find your identity. Just reviewing your videos, your photography, your journaling, what have you. Because it could be like, oh, on this day, I tried horseback riding and I found out that I'm very good at it. So you documenting, you're seeing when you actually started to love yourself and find out, who you are and what you like and what you're great at. Again, which is encouragement. So that is your homework, to document your journey, so that you don't get discouraged. And if you have a really bad day, you won't just blow up or implode and just feel totally discouraged, because there will be days where it'll be a two full weeks are great, and then you have a horrible bad day. But just going back and reflecting on the good days, and then say you had a bad day before the 2 weeks, you realize that pain is only for a short time. And that can encourage you to move forward, even if the day was horrible. You can reflect on previous days in which maybe it didn't go so well, but you restarted. You encourage yourself for the next day, and then you are able to create a plan so that you're able to be successful because, again, you document it to make you successful. So thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast.
Thanks for joining us this week on Abuse Exposed. Make sure to subscribe to our show in Apple Podcasts and other social media platforms at Abuse Exposed so you never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on Apple Podcasts. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Thanks for being a part of the community.